Have you ever told a white lie about the other person in an argument to a listener so the listener makes a judgment about your opponent and doesn't take what your opponent says seriously? If this is you, or you want to find out why this is a good strategy in certain situations, I would keep listening. I researched my topic and learned that poisoning the well is an informal fallacy that revolves around It is introducing your opponent in an argument to the audience, stating negative or rude things that may or may not be true. In doing this, the goal is that you get your audience to agree with you and not consider anything that your opponent says or is about to state valid. It can also be used to further prove their point to be valid by the opposing party being unable to respond to the information. Certain situations lend themselves more to poisoning the well than others, these situations being work meetings, school board meetings, and political environments. More specifically, work meetings where two companies might be pitching to one client, school board meetings where parents are outraged on a recent incident that arose, and during political campaigns. The first topic I'm going to touch upon is work meetings, specifically ones where two companies might be trying to pitch their idea to one client. In a work setting where you are put on a task of creating a pitch for a client, where the client has another company doing the same thing, it puts high stakes on your shoulders to be able to land the deal, even if sometimes it is on a do whatever it takes basis from your manager. This is when you will see one company pitch their idea, and at the end of their statement say something like, "My opponent here does blank." Maybe they take longer to complete the project. Maybe they have higher prices. Maybe they're biased in who they hire as a company. Or you can insert other ideas that you might think they might stay. It doesn't matter if it is true or not when using poisoning the well in your argument. It is saying rude things in that the client's opinions are then skewed in your favor before your opponent even gets a chance to speak. Another way where a work setting lends itself to poisoning the well, which is also in work meetings, is when promotion may be on the line. This is when you see coworkers discrediting each other's ideas to resolve a problem. So theirs gets chosen and they get the promotion. Coworkers will say anything at these meetings, no matter how rude, hurtful, or truthful they are being, to be able to skew their manager's or boss's mind into choosing their ideas over another, even if this means relationships between coworkers are ruined forever. Next, I'm going to talk about school board meetings, specifically ones where parents are outraged on a recent incident that arose. School board meetings is another place where it can commonly be practiced, especially in instances where an incident arose and parents want immediate answers. Parents would go up to a stand or just stand up, depending on the setup of their meeting hall, voice their opinions, and then, before the board is able to respond, give a statement where they state a fact that goes against the action the board took, basically allowing for no response back from the board, further proving their point to everyone in the audience that there is a fact that is being hidden from the general public. On the flip side, it can also be seen in the school board meetings in the school board's favor. These instances are when a new policy is being posed, so a lot of information is readily available to reference and use in order to prove their point against parent questions, leaving the parents unable to respond to the board's responses and to their original question or concern. Lastly, I'm going to talk about the biggest place and example where poisoning the well is seen. This is in political environments, specifically during campaigns. One major example in politics or any political campaign, all the advertisements a candidate will make, produce, and run during the election period use the idea of poisoning the well to skew and gain more voters into voting for them. They state bogus ideas about the opposing candidate, trying to appeal to the voters' morals and values. Many times, though, the ideas and facts stated in these advertisements are not true and are meant to be hurtful to the opponent. A more current example is when Obama used poisoning the well in speeches before Trump got into office. But Obama tried using this technique in his speeches a handful of times over his presidency. Many of these times it proved to be unsuccessful because it undercut the main message of his speeches that he was using them in, and the main message they were trying to convey. One of the more popular cases being his speech, "A More Perfect Union." He used poisoning the well as an effective rhetorical device throughout the speech. It was considered successful in the speech, even though it undercut the main point of the speech, which was that the race remains a very complicated issue in American culture, and that we as a country must tolerate a large range of expressions and viewpoints on this topic. Now, let's recap all the different places we learned where poisoning the well can be used. These places can be in work meetings, specifically ones where two different companies are trying to pitch an idea to one client, school board meetings where parents are outraged on a situation that recently arose and they're looking for answers, and in political environments, specifically during campaigns or in speeches before a new president is elected to office. In conclusion, if you feel both ways about you can feel both ways about poisoning the well. It usually has a negative connotation to it because it is based on being hurtful towards your opponent in an argument to discredit their points, which in turn makes your argument sound more credible. But many may argue that it actually is a useful tool in an argument because it allows the outcome desired in many cases to be in the user's favor. Thanks for listening.